Welcome to What We Watch, Doing OK's entertainment podcast. What are we watching today?
I am not okay with this.
I'm Dan.
I'm Olga.
And today we are giving you our spoiler-free review of I Am Not Okay With This. Should you binge this show? What do you think, Olga?
Well, we sure as heck did. We actually didn't plan to.
No.
But we did anyway. So doesn't that speak for itself?
We had no idea that this show was in 20-ish minute chunks.
Yeah, basically. Like sitcom chunks.
Yeah, it's not a sitcom, to be clear.
Not.
Let's give a quick rundown of what is I Am Not Okay With This. So it stars one Sophia Lillis from It fame.
And lesser Sharp Objects fame.
Yes, as Olga astutely observed while we watched this, she's like, oh, she's like a young Amy Adams.
She plays a young Amy Adams for people who don't know about Sharp Objects, okay? I am not always the smartest person in the room. Most of the time, I am.
Yeah. So it stars her, and it's a tale as old as time. Teenager, angsty, she's a girl, and she gets telekinetic powers. I would not say that's a spoiler, that's the premise.
It is.
Basically, yes, it's very much Carrie, it's very much Jean Grey, it's Umbrella Academy, but, you know, that was a little bit different, but same idea.
Right.
It's even strange. You could even say Stranger Things, right?
Yes.
It's pulling from all these things. And Stranger Things producers were involved in this show. End of the fucking world people were involved in this show.
He's the showrunner. I think it's the same showrunner.
Yeah. But the show is still very good.
It is. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised by it being so, short episode-wise.
Basically, the whole binge is 2.5 hours. It's basically watching a movie.
It is. A little bit more. It ends up being 240. Yeah. But, I mean, it, too, was 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So, it's shorter than that.
Yeah. So why were you surprised?
I just assumed we'd be seeing, more in-depth, the journey of the discovery to the conclusion. And I thought it would just be I don't know, I thought it would be a lot more traditional teen coming of age.
See, the thing is, I would say that it kind of was traditional teen coming of age. It was less traditional superhero. I would say, without spoiling anything, I would say this feels very much like an Act 1. We don't get a ton of plot in this, but I think that's okay. You get to a point at the end where you're like, I'm excited for more plot going forward, and the reason why I think the show works better as a show, even though it's in these little chunks, than if it was a movie, is because each episode does feel distinct, and they all feel like pieces of her life.
Yeah. And they all end up, even though it does feel sort of slower paced, it actually the beginning and the end of each episode take you somewhere new.
Yeah.
Or it advances the story. Yeah. So it's never actually stagnant. You're not just sitting there being come on, get things going, but it isn't necessarily action packed every single time.
Yeah, and I think that Netflix has been criticized for some of its shows that it just feels like it all blends together. The episodes don't, they forgot the idea of episodic television. And I think that this show does a pretty good job of balancing the two, where it's I can remember, I liked this episode because of this reason or that reason. They are different enough from each other, but they all build on each other. And I think what really works about the show, even, as long as you go in not expecting something super plot heavy, it's really sort of, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say slice of life, but it's very in her head. It's very with her. And, they have from the very beginning this device of she's doing some sort of therapeutic technique of writing in her diary, right? And so you get a ton of voiceover from her. And some people, say that's a writing crutch or whatever.
I'm one of those people a lot of the time.
She does such a good job with it, though.
Absolutely. So I feel like this really is one of the better examples of using a Dear Diary setting to be interesting, and it's also just her voice. Yeah. Her voice is really cool and down to earth, and her reactions to things are appropriate. Part of the benefit of this being on Netflix is they get to drop F-bombs and things like that and like swear and talk the way that teenagers talk, even though it is kind of out of time, out of place.
Yeah, there's a very much out of time element where it's like, yeah, okay, we see her use a phone like once.
Yeah.
But like it's very like, oh, this person loves vinyl. This person watches VHSs still.
Yeah, well, it's all mostly Stan.
Yeah, but like the mise en scène is very orange, which I think we associate more with like 70s ish. And I mean, that's a funny thing to say, but that I feel like we definitely do associate that color palette.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they're going to the bowling alley a lot and stuff like that.
Right.
It's a very heartwarming show. Whilst it's a great point about the vulgarity because it's it's vulgar in that way. It has some slightly violent-ish things, and they talk about sex and stuff, and we know sex occurs, but they don't what's the word I'm looking for? Like overly.
It's not like explicit.
Yeah. And so I think that it does a very nice job of, for so many years we weren't allowed to have like really real teen shows, and it's so nice to have this feel like so normal.
Yeah, it's extremely normal. Other than hey, she has powers.
Yeah. And the powers really are, they're a metaphor, and again, it's Tales all this time. This isn't like untouched ground, but it does still feel fresh to me because, like, if you think about like Stranger Things, like Eleven's like a very specific character, right? And it's not really. There's so much other stuff going on that it's not like about her learning about her powers in the same way, right? And then if you look at like. The same thing can be said for like a Jean Grey story. It's like this is a whole team. Yeah, she's an important part or whatever. But like this is so grounded and so her story and so her voice in a way that we just like. Even though it's an idea we've seen before, we haven't quite seen it this way. And the actress does such a fantastic job. The writing is perfect for her. It's just And the thing that I really like about it is the idea of the girl with telekinesis thing. Is very like, female emotions are volatile or whatever, right?
Right.
The thing that I think is really interesting and special about this is that she's an angry person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I'm so sad, I'm crying, and that's what's making things happen. It's really like the show starts off of why she's even using the diary. It's like, I have anger issues.
Yeah.
And I take them out on things around me.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's very real for a teenage girl, but it usually gets shown through like sex, drugs, rock and roll. And for her, it's through things going boom.
Yeah.
So
hitting stuff. And the other thing is, I feel like it's dealt with, even though it's like a similar idea to the normal thing of like the emotions of teenagers, it's done in a way that feels more like we're actually saying something, like we actually know what we're talking about, right? Because she has panic attacks.
Yeah.
Like they take it serious. It's not just like, oh, women have emotions. Yeah. It's here, let's seriously talk about depression. Let's seriously talk about panic attacks.
Grief.
Yeah.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's intense.
Yeah. And then we have a number of other side characters. You want to say anything about any of them?
They're all lovable. Well, almost all of them are lovable. She has a little brother. He's great.
He's adorable.
Really cute relationship. It's nice, like, again, even though she has this anger, it's nice that it's not like an angry sibling relationship, because I feel like that's kind of played out too.
I think that they do a nice job of making her an anti-hero too. Like, she does like kind of shitty thing. Like, her anger can be like problematic at times, right? But I never felt like I wasn't with her. Like they were always making her sympathetic enough and having enough good to balance out the bad that I was never like, screw this character.
Right. Yeah. I always like her.
Yes. And then there's Stan, who has a crush on her.
Yeah, he's a little weirdo, like hipster dude.
I believe he also played Stan on It.
He was in It. I just don't remember his name there.
I believe Stanley was his name in It.
And he had a little growth spurt.
Yeah.
Those two.
He's very fun and wacky. I think they do a very good job with him.
Yeah.
It's hard to really talk about it without getting into spoilers.
But he also gets his own like kind of episode.
Yeah.
It's still mostly on her, but he gets more to do. And that's kind of nice break.
Yeah.
And then her friend Dina.
Yeah. Which How much do we talk about
I don't
Dina?
really want to talk about her too much, but
Good character.
she's a great character, and I like her a lot, and it's a nice take on the, like, girl finding popularity kind of thing, too, because a lot of the time it's like, girl finds popularity, realizes it's not that great, goes back to the losers, but it's a bit different here.
Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, at times it reminds me of Nancy season 1 in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But I think they handle it better than Stranger Things did there.
Yep.
They didn't kill off Bev.
No. That's
spoiler. Bev is the main character.
Bev doesn't die at the end of the show.
Anything you didn't like?
I mean, for me, the pace was, like, definitely something to get used to.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It just wasn't something I was expecting. So now you do.
Yeah. That's the thing where they set up things that are like, oh, I want to know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And you finish the season and it's like, find out next time. Like, if you're hoping for answers, you're not going to get them in season 1. Hopefully we're going to get more seasons because I think it's a very lovely show.
It is.
And, as long as you're in touch with the characters and the, drama of her life, I think it's fine. But don't expect to, get
it's not Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's its own thing.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think there are a couple characters and moments that feel a little bit ham-fisted. And I think that they mostly stand out because otherwise the characters feel very down to earth.
Yeah.
So when you have, like, a bad girl character show up and
who literally just
exists,
behaves as a bad girl, like, you're like, why?
Yeah, why is she here?
Yeah.
So there are a few moments like that, but overall, very binge-worthy show. If you liked End of the Fucking World, it's a sort of similar format where you can just kind of binge it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
And definitely worth your time.
It is.
Any last thoughts?
Give us season 2. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah, we needed
it's just
season
like,
2.
Yeah, because it feels like a part 1.
Yeah.
It feels like part 2 should be, it was like ends with a mid-season finale instead of full-on season finale.
It makes me feel like you shouldn't wait a year for season 2. Like, it would be nice if, like, that season 2 was in, like, 6 months.
Yeah. So we're big fans. Give us more.
Yeah.
And hopefully it sustains its success on Netflix.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Check out some of our other videos. What have we done lately? We did a
bunch of Sabrina reviews.
We did 100 podcasts.
Sex education.
Sex education. Check them all out, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're doing okay.
But I'm not okay.
With this.